How did you gauge whether Joe Johnson can still play after so much time away?
Well, if anybody's watched and seen a little bit, he's been playing for a while now, obviously in Big Three and all that. And so different than getting up and down. But, as we did with CJ and Justin, we saw them in the G League and, saw them practicing and getting up and down. With Joe, it was a little bit of both that we've actually seen him lately, but also what else he brings, the veteran experience and some leadership as well. So that's a piece of it as well as what he can do on the court.
Did he come in here for workouts? Did you send somebody to see him?
No workouts. No.
You guys have made a pretty concerted effort to go after veteran guys, CJ and Joe in particular, but even Justin's played a few years in the league. Was there any particular reason you guys chose to go that route as opposed to, maybe signing younger guys out of the G League instead?
Yeah, it's somewhat of a consistency as far as their track record and what they've done. And like I said, with the other guys, we saw them in the G League practices and games, but we have a good young group coming off our bench, obviously with Josh out that's hurt with the veteran leadership part, but we're more so targeting that than another young guy that's more of an unknown. We have guys we're relying on, Peyton, Romeo, Aaron, young guys that are, stepping up and playing well, but we want more of a steadying presence and kind of know what they're all about more so than a project or potential down the line.
And along those lines, is it more likely that those guys are going to sort of have the same role that Justin did the other day, where if you need a guy to play, they play, and otherwise you're going to play the young guys, or are they more likely to get in over the next few days?
Yeah, it would be similar to, I guess, what Broderick did in the game that he played before he got COVID, where, Aaron and Romeo and Peyton, as you've seen with the guys out, they've stepped up with their minutes and their roles have increased. And if need be, Aaron got in foul trouble that game. We threw Broderick in. It'd be a similar situation. You don't want to say insurance policy, but, in case of more COVID cases or things happening on the court, injury or foul trouble, that's what they're here for.
And you talked before, I think a couple of games ago, about the opportunity for a guy like Peyton to get a chance to get some consistency. Over the past couple of games, he's played pretty well. Is this sort of maybe the best case scenario for a guy like that to get a chance to get some run and kind of get himself going in the other direction?
Yeah, in general, I mentioned it quite a bit that, I'm not worried about Peyton if he gets his opportunity. It's a tough situation, a guy I'm very confident in, as I've mentioned, but he was a guy I didn't have a doubt about. He'd be ready when the opportunity came. And, you look at it with Dennis off the bench when we're full and we're whole, he's played extremely well, or when he started when guys have been out. So, Peyton was just stuck behind a guy that was, playing extremely well more than anything he did. And, going back to knowing Peyton as long as I have, I knew he'd be ready when he's called upon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One of the things you emphasized during training camp, and you've said it a few times since then, is that you really wanted to play faster and with more pace. Have you guys played as fast as you have wanted this season? And if not, where has that gone wrong?
And not consistently. I think you've seen stretches of it. And it's personnel based to some extent. When Dennis is in, the pace is increased, but we want more kick aheads and, cross court passes and opportunity for Jalen, Jayson to really get out and run and attack. Now you look at our team when we're whole and full, we're a bigger team that's may not be the fastest, but as I mentioned, certain personnel is in the game. It can, interject some speed into the lineup. And so something we really want to do, but it's not just getting out transition running and playing faster that way. We want quick decisions in the half court, and we've been up and down as far as that for sure.
Was there a time when you decided, okay, we're going to play bigger, we're not going to play as fast as I initially thought, and you kind of pivoted in that sense? Or
I would say overall, when we are big, we're not going to be, as fast as we are when we take one of the bigs down and go to a smaller lineup for sure. But defensively, some of the things we're doing, I think, feed into our bigger lineups where we can kind of engulf teams and play with our size. And I think when we've been at our best, it's been with the big lineups to start the game, start the season. Just haven't had a lot of consistency with those lineups. So we've worked out well defensively when our rankings got up with those big lineups, but don't play as fast offensively, but can still be efficient there. And I think our identity has shifted more toward the defensive side when we have our whole team.
Thanks.
He said the other day, you didn't know what was going to happen, but in terms of signing players or this kind of free for all, but it seems like two new guys, one guy 34, one guy 40. how unique is this? I mean, we talked about this the other day, but just now to bring in a guy who can not only maybe play, but also have an impact on some of your younger guys. He's a 7-time All-Star, a guy who's gotten it done. What kind of how will that impact Joe impact like Jayson and Jalen especially?
Yeah, I think it is a different situation. It's a guy that, they all looked up to at some point. And when I mentioned to Jayson specifically that he was coming, he started to smile like that was one of my favorite players coming up. And so, unique situation, obviously being drafted here 20 years ago and being able to do what he's still doing at this point. But just talking to him and some of the other coaches that talked to him already, just that veteran, savvy, experienced presence, and what he's talking about is different than talking to some young guys. So that part is unique, but, needed at times for us.
And is anyone close to being, in terms of the other rest of the guys that are out, anyone close to coming back? Is Robert in? I know he had personal reasons. What's the status of the roster?
Rob is expected to be in. That was just a one-game thing. And as far as everybody else, we're just kind of in the holding pattern of, the protocols and waiting for 2 negatives. So not much more to report on that. And we'll find out when the negatives come.
And what's the plan before you go to Milwaukee? Because I know they've informed you guys and all the other 9 teams that the games could be moved or whatever. What's kind of the plan over the next few days?
The plan is to still go and play. If you have your 8 eligible players, then you're on course to play. And, us bringing in the 3 guys and what we have now, we obviously have over that number. I think some of the teams that have been affected with the cancellations lately are because they have 10 plus, and even with their 3 replacement players still don't have numbers. So as long as nothing else happens, we have, 11, 12 right now. And so we'll be good to go. We could be shifted depending on another team, but in the likelihood that nothing else happens as far as positives, we're looking forward to playing in Milwaukee.
Sneak one Zoom question in, Coach, from Bobby Manning.
Hey, Ime, you talked a little bit on Monday about just a scramble for the G League players, guys just pulling everybody from different affiliates and things like that. What was that process like when you first found out you had to make these signings and you were going to need these signings in any way? Because obviously a lot of guys that you had in camp got taken by other teams and, most of Maine got pulled there. Were those guys you kind of wanted to give a chance and just didn't have time to grab before other teams did? What was that scramble like?
Yeah, that was part of it. I think we were affected a little bit later than other teams. So teams had to find players sooner than us. And that's when they grabbed Luke and some of our other guys, Theo as well. But, as I mentioned, it was the young guys was really the first look. Anybody that was playing decent to well on teams are going to grab up, and then you have to go the veteran route. And that's what I mentioned the other day. The best time to be a G League player or a veteran right now. And I think all the young guys that have been taken so soon and early left us with the veteran choices we had now. But obviously we'd like to keep our guys with us if possible. They come to training camp with us, know the system, run the same system up in Maine. And so you'd like that, but circumstances happen and other teams had more of a need earlier than us. And so we had to go this route with the veteran guys.
Wrap it up right there. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you.